Hello everybody, lovely to see you. So my presentation is based on a book I wrote called Legendary Authors and the Clothes They Wore. So I'll start with one of my favourite quotes from the book, and it's from Maya Angelou, who said, "If you're true to yourself, you will always be in fashion." And that's something that I took and explored in my book and also in this presentation today. Yeah, it's going great. Oh, here we go. So, fashion and authenticity are about pleasing yourself and not wearing things just because you think that you should. How you relate to yourself and behave, the choices you make, and how they represent the real you is a philosophical concept fueled back as far as Aristotle, although he may not, of course, have been thinking about whether to buy the latest Prada handbag. However, what you put on in the morning, what you put on in the morning, it's interesting to reflect. Are you wearing what you want to or what you think you ought? It's important to deliberate on who you are. We need to search and find our genuine self. Fashion and clothes can help us do that. Who influences us and where we look for inspiration is important. And as you can see here, even Samuel Beckett liked Gucci handbags. Sincerity is crucial to longevity in fashion, and that's why character is key to looking great, feeling and believing what you do. It translates into non-negotiable charisma. Therefore, I believe that legendary authors and the clothes they wore can be convincing fashion influencers today. It might seem counterintuitive, but fashion houses often look towards authors who dress outside of the constraints of being fashionable because they're captivating and compelling, telling stories about themselves with the clothes they wear as well as their work. With this inclusive approach in mind, the most unexpected person can be a style influencer, whether you happen to be gender fluid, fat, thin, young, old, grey, black or white, or even the Irish writer Samuel Beckett. Samuel Beckett's unfussy elegance is testimony to the grace of steadfast unfashionability. If he were alive today, designers such as APC, Margaret Howell, and probably Comme des Garçons would be trying to lure him their way for an ad campaign or a catwalk appearance. Of course, he would say no. He said no to everything. When he won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1969, he didn't turn up. At the prospect of an honorary degree from Trinity College, Dublin, that wasn't enticing either. He wrote in a letter, "I have no clothes to turn up in, but an old brown suit. If that's not good enough for them, they can stick their Lit D up amongst their piles." Beckett may or may not have been interested in appearing to look interested or flourishing a designer wardrobe, but his coolness is a phenomenon that few can compete with. In reality, he had an abiding, classy, and poised pick of clothes. His day wear of choice included a signature turtleneck sweater, a shrug-on trench coat, and stylish suede wallaby shoes. Timeless round spectacles and a rugged Aran jumper. He styled his hair in a quiff for the first time when he was 17 and kept it in place for the rest of his life. He knew what he liked. Sean Phillips, an actor who Beckett cast as The Voice in his first television play in 1965, described Beckett when she met him for the first time. "He was so beautifully dressed, with the most exquisite sweater I'd ever seen, a silk polo neck with the softest cashmere jacket." Beckett was an authentic. In the same way he was meticulous about his work, the staging of his plays, for example, was an exact science for him. He was meticulous about his clothes. Wearing something because you have reflected on how it becomes you is a valuable trait for a fashion original. So I'm going to skip on here. I've got lots more to say, but I'm going to move on to Sidonie Gabrielle Colette, used clothes to radiate who she was. As a young bride at the turn of the century, Colette embodied the heroine of her Claudine novels, wearing a girlish sailor suit, ankle boots and hair in plaits that hung almost to her knees under a wide-brimmed bonnet. She wore suits when she lived with her lover Missy, and in 1907 famously kissed her on stage to fanatical outrage, wearing tiger rugs and Egyptian costume. While for her third and last wedding in 1925, she wore Lucien Lelong bias-cut silk couture. As an eminent and revered novelist, post-World War II, she wore busty, luxe, pussy bow silk shirts, velvet scarves and bohemian layers, and always the signature kohl-rimmed eyes of her youth. Scandal meant nothing to Colette, who did and wore exactly what she wanted. Her distinct fashion moments evolved. She was not afraid of change, but her legacy as a fashion icon continues to inspire designers from Acne to Valentino and more. They are not just magnetized by the clothes, but the integrity of all her guises. What she wore certainly mirrored her life choices. Fashion is meant to empower, and what's more empowering than being fashionably brave like Colette? I think I probably don't have time to keep going on about this, so I'll miss this one. I'll move on to James Joyce. Overall, authors and clothes that I talk about here and in my book are usually unintentional style protagonists, which is why they are so interesting, especially for me anyway. They are innately authentic. James Joyce, for example, here he is with Manohla Blahnik, one of the most fashionable men in fashion. James Joyce, Manohla Blahnik, very little difference, I think you'll agree. James Joyce, though, he did have a way with bow ties, and he was a man to whom appearance communicated character and echoed emotion. Joyce's clothes reveal an accidental narrative of a great writer. He suffered from iritis and glaucoma, and to relieve his eyes, he wore an eye patch. In later years, he began wearing a white suit that he believed helped reflect the words on the page in front of him when he wrote. Joyce composed new ways of writing, and his work centres on the minutiae of the minute. As a paradigm of modernist literature, it's fascinating and fitting that he should notice and explore the significance of clothing. In Ulysses, he shows the character Gertie McDowell through the prism of what she was wearing, broaching the subject of her clothes with microscopic interest and investing his text with the value of how she wants to be seen by the world. He has a particular side for fashion and uses it as a medium for hopes, dreams, aspirations, and delusions. He appreciated clothes to the extent that he was once so enthusiastic about Irish tweed that he worked as a clothes salesman around Europe. That's the section from Ulysses if you wanted to look it up. Virginia Woolf here is wearing a dress by Poiret's younger sister, Nicole Groult, and she was inspired to buy it because she saw the fashion editor of UK Vogue, Madge Garland, wearing it, and she loved it so much. She saw it, she loved it. However, when Garland first set eyes on Woolf, she said Virginia Woolf appeared to be wearing an upturned wastebasket on her head. She said, "There sat this beautiful and distinguished woman wearing what could only be described as a wastebasket." Virginia Woolf epitomizes the look of the Bloomsbury set, uninhibited elegance. It's become synonymous with a nonchalant, non-fussy, fluid approach to dressing. She mixed and matched her sweaters and gardening skirts, dresses, tea dresses, fur shrugs, buckled shoes and shawls, an eccentric synthesis that had preceded Prada's geek chic by 70 years or so. Woolf was also at times petrified, absorbed, and careless of her own external appearance. Clothes fascinated her. She's a perfect example of how undoubtedly the words authors write and who they are linked. Woolf's gender-fluid hero of Orlando inspired Christopher Bailey's collection for Spring-Summer 2017, where he showed classic English shapes created to be worn by both men and women. 1 minute. Okay, I'm going to go to Gertrude Stein because she's my favourite. Here we go. Very quickly, I'm going to read you my last paragraph. So Gertrude Stein's impeccable taste in art and culture extended to mentoring fashion designers. She supported the couturier Pierre Balmain when he first embarked on his career in Paris. With the profits of the autobiography of Alice B. Toklas, she bought the most expensive coat made to order by Hermès. The New York Times described her in 1934 as dressed in rough tweeds. Feet were in thick, woolly stockings and round-toed, flat-heeled Oxfords. A brownish tweed suit covered a cerise vest of voluminous proportions and a mannish shirt of cream and black stripes. The hat was a Stein hat, a gay hat which gave her the appearance of having just sprung from Robin Hood's forest. So I'll move on. Beckett studied Stein's work and was keenly attentive to what he described as her porous writing. Both the style and substance of Gertrude Stein were complex, unorthodox, and untried. Her writing is difficult, her sense of fashion was non-conforming, and her taste was visionary and permanent. What better kind of influencer could we have today? A crucial theme for fashion is conformity. A crucial theme for fashion is conformity. Nevertheless, in the 21st century, everyone can decide on who they are. Answering this question with honesty and allowing it to drive your own fashion consumption is a path to mainstream authenticity. It might also help the planet. I think looking at alternative influences, such as legendary authors, is a comprehensive way of inspiring us all. Reading a book at the same time will additionally help fuel your own fashion story. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.